Hundar here, the country bear to realm Splash Mountain, and today we are looking at Two Worlds 2. This is going to be just a sort of a starter guide, character creation here, getting you through the tutorial that sort of makes up like the first half an hour of a game. We're going to blitz through it, and then we'll go through some general combat tips. Plenty of options for customization here. You can go with the Brad Pitt, Keith Urban blonde locks, or turn your character into a vampire from Buffy the Vampire Slayer like I just did. Moving on. So it starts off with an opening cinematic, a lot of story being thrown at you. I'm just going to skip through the story stuff, let you enjoy that on your own time. We're going to be following this female orc around as we try to escape through the castle. Dark and spooky, got a giant statue of death, a guy with a torch for a dick, that's far out. Basically, as you start navigating through the castle, it's good to make sure you're keeping an eye out for little items to help you later on. There's health potions, books, scrolls lying all over the place. So in addition to actually triggering switches and doors and whatnot, be on the lookout for helpful items to help you later. You'll be kind of glad you grabbed them during the starting area. I'm going to go ahead and make my character a little more comfortable here. Get Jersey Shore style. GTL. Yeah. Alright, and downstairs we go. Blah, blah, blah. Da, 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 da. Bad guys show up. Believe it or not, it is possible to die in this tutorial. So don't stand around admiring your buff body unless you want an arrow sticking out of your fucking guts like I've got. Again, oops, make sure we go back, we loot everything we see, grab every little item. Trust me, things are expensive in the world, and even 4 gold on a dead guard is worth it later. I'm going to go ahead and skip through some more running. I just realized I kind of look like Vampire Moses in this game now. Anyways, your orc gets cut off from you, so you're going to have your first lesson in lockpicking. Lockpicking in this game is pretty straightforward. On some of the early locks, you'll be able to just auto lockpick, but you might as well learn it now while you can. You line up your lockpick with the notches as it goes around clockwise, and basically, well, some of these early locks are a little forgiving. Later on, you'll basically have one chance to beat the time limit as you go around, so you really don't want to miss one. But it's pretty straightforward, like I said. Just use the right trigger as you go through. For some more swimming and catching every disease known to man in the sewers, we go left, grab the 10 gold that's in this chest over here instead of going straight to Darfa. Go back over to her. She's disgusted. You're swimming in human feces in your underwear. We're about to get our first introduction to melee combat. Over here in this room, there's a healing potion, a mana potion, a book on alchemy, and a big baton. Now, combat in this game is interesting in that you can sort of opt out of it during a fight. So if you're getting injured, if you holster your weapon, your health will start regenerating on its own, and if you can just sort of avoid the bad guys while that's happening, you can regenerate. And depending on what you're fighting, that's more likely than other times. So basically, we dispatch this first guard by just clubbing him over the head repeatedly, and we are on our way. Outside, we get our first introduction to stealth kills. Over here, we do a little Metal Gear Solid style assassination. There are basically 4 types of characters you're going to create in this game. A straight-up fighter class, a ranger with an emphasis on archery and then the ranged attacks, mage, which has a sort of a variety of within it, like fire, water, necromancy, summoning, and the sort of rogue stealth kills. So over here, Rogdor tries to impart some fatherly advice in combat, basically blocking, holding left trigger while enemies are attacking you. Thanks, Dad. Really appreciate the advice. Can I borrow the car? No? You want me to fight some more ugly-ass things? Alright, let's go do it. While blocking, you can also push right trigger at the end of an attack to counter-strike. Depending on what you're fighting, that's more useful sometimes than others. The Grom here are just total pushovers, so I just pretty much bludgeon them to death. But against armored targets, as I cross the log here, and by the way, you can fall off the log and it'll teleport you back up, doing a little test there. You can break defensive stances by pushing B. So basically, if you see anything wearing tough armor, go for that. Later on, you'll fight big things like Colossuses. You'll try and knock to the ground using strong attacks like that. So, and then Rogdor decides to maybe push some rocks on some innocent little bystanders, ruin their teddy bear picnic down below. That is a bummer. And archery, probably the lowest risk, highest reward type of combat here. Here the Grom come to try and sign a peace treaty, and we just picked them off the bridge. You can also shoot arrows in 2 different directions if you so choose in sniper mode. Not sure how that works, really. We'll blame it on a wizard. Then my buddy Gortarius here tries to channel Yoda's force powers and can't quite fix this bridge. But we are moving on to our introduction to magic, which, in terms of complexity, is really like the meat and potatoes of this game, if you ask me. Now, the game sort of expects you to always sort of have a weapon on hand for any given situation, i.e., like times you have to not use physical force to knock something down, but, you know, if it was up to me, I'd just be playing a mage throughout every portion of this game. So, just a quick overview on how spells work, because Grit's got a really in-depth thing. You're basically going to go through the game collecting different types of spell cards that you sort of build a deck out of and use. So here we've got a fire card in that slot. I've selected a damage modifier, so it's going to be a fire spell that does damage. You have other options like protection, time. And then on the right we have it's a missile type. A homing modifier, which means it always seeks the enemies, a ricochet, a spray. So you collect different types and then sort of create your own versions of them. Here I have an area of effect card on the right that also has a fire modifier. So when they come, I can either do this area of effect, fire blast, or a more specific fire bolt at them. I only have access to the fire cards at this very early part of the game. So, but as you see, it's more than enough for these undead that burn up like kindling. Here we get a look at that actual area of effect spell in action there. So moving up a couple minutes later, you'll run into something that cannot be killed by fire, and so the game sort of gives you a tutorial on building your first spell. You're going to find a water mastery book on the ground, you read that, then an ice bolt card just teleports in. You select that, replace the fire, and shoot some icy bolts. This is a custom spell that I created. I like to call it the Donkey Kong Special. It's a fire spell that drops barrels as its area of effect. This dog man is clearly horrified. So, I mean, Grit, who spent a lot of time with the spells, was still surprised to see that I could do that. So there's a lot in this game to play with. So the last thing I want to show you is the dice game, your ticket to fortune. Here in this game, things are very expensive, and so there are two dice games you can play to try and win money. The first is Lucky Throw, where you just basically keep rolling dice against your opponent. You can kick the table at the last second if you don't like your rolls, but you can't disturb your opponent's rolls. So here we do 2 rounds, my score is 24, and my opponent sucks it up big time, and I win 200 bucks. Now the other option is the poker option, where you actually do a series of rolls and you try and build the the best poker hand by eliminating dice that you don't want at the end of every round. So here I roll, I got a couple of 5s, keep that 6. My opponent does the same thing. I'm gonna get rid of that crappy 1 and that 4 that are worthless to me, and then I roll again. Yeah, let's cheat a little bit. Get another 5. My computer rolls. What does he get? Oh no, now he's got 2 pair. Well, let's try and beat that. Get rid of my 2, and keep the 6 just in case. And yeah, that counts. Full house, and the opponent tries to beat me, but is totally a failure at life, and I win 10 ores. Now, the good news is, if you start to lose money, feel free to use your latest save game and just go for it. Here I'm about to lose $1,000, but the good news is I saved right before I started playing, and I can just go and load. It's not Hacksaw, it's just using the tools available to you. When Grit started playing, he actually just did this over and over and over and over again until he could buy all the spell books early on, and he was just like a total beast mage. So, whatever works for you. Just letting you know it's available. Best advice I can really give is just get past the tutorial as fast as you can. You can get to the good stuff. You'll start, there's this big open area full of wildlife you can start leveling up on if you don't want to jump into the quest. Once you get to the town area, you just run around beating cheetahs to death and provoking monkeys to throw their shit at you like this. Oh no, hit him with a frostbolt. But it's a quick way to level up. I got a lot of experience before I started jumping into the, the full-on quest. There you go, see, that monkey just gave me enough to get another level. And then just spec based on what you need. Willpower is great for mages. You've got endurance just to increase your general health. There's a stat for range damage if you're a ranger, and just overall physical strength for fighters. I'm afraid I am out of time. I'm going to wrap it up with these weird women who can't stop oogling the meat at the market here. Kind of creeping me out a little bit. If you are interested in this spell system, Grit has a very, very in-depth guide where he spent a lot of time going through all the different things you can do with it. So definitely check out his min-max on spell system. It's fantastic. Hundar out.